episode 144. I'm thankful for. Welcome back to One Extraordinary Marriage, where we talk sex, love, and commitment. You're here with Elisa DiLorenzo.
And Tony DiLorenzo.
And we are so thankful to have each and every one of you joining us this week. For our old listeners, we're thrilled that you have been with us for so long. And for those of you that are just joining us for the first time or you're brand new listeners, we're very excited that you have found us, whether you found us through iTunes or Stitcher, or maybe you just saw a post up on one of your friends' Facebook pages. We're just thrilled that all of you are here tuning in with us. As you know, if you ever want to get in touch with us, you can always reach us at 858-876-5663, or you can email us at info@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. And I want you all to know that those emails, when we do discuss them on the air, they are all anonymous now. Mm-hmm. We are not, unless you specifically, like you're doing a shout out to your husband or your wife and you want us to say your name, everything is going anonymously. We want you guys to have the freedom to share, and we want to be able to connect you with other listeners who are, more often than not, somebody else out there in this great big world, has the same problem that you do or something similar. And when they hear your words, when they hear your successes or your pain, they can relate to that, and you give hope and strength to others literally around the world. I'm excited to report that we got our first email today from a listener in Iran.
Yeah.
And, you guys know how I feel about you letting us know where you're writing from. And I like that giant map where I'm just like, oh, there's another little dot on the map. This is a really big one. And I'm not going to go into all the gist of it, but she does talk a lot about the inequality there in Iran, and just some of the struggles that women face in being in relationships and this type of thing. So we'll talk about that at a later date. But I had to say, as you talk about those things that you're thankful for this week, I'm thankful that through all of you, the reach for One Extraordinary Marriage is breaking down barriers into countries where, I am a little surprised to hear from a listener in Iran, just because, that's one of those countries that's much more closed off, especially to our message. We do speak from a Christian perspective. And so, that entering into a traditionally non-Christian country and just, it's one of those countries where, women tend to not have as many freedoms. And so to hear from a female listener, just exciting. You guys are getting the word out there, and that is definitely one of our big thankfuls as we head into this holiday season. Yeah,
especially now when we say thankfuls, and for those of you who are listening around the world, you guys are like, man, you Americans. Well, it's our week of Thanksgiving, and so for those of you who are outside of the United States and are listening, this is our week of Thanksgiving, and it means something for Elisa and I, because it is that time where we can just sort of sit back a little bit and just go, what are we thankful for? Mm-hmm. It's towards the end of the year. We can look over the last 11 months of our marriage and go, what are we thankful for in this marriage? We've had highs, we've had lows. You guys have heard them. We've heard them. We've lived them. But it just gives us that opportunity to sit down and talk. Mm-hmm. And today, this episode is Elisa and I doing I'm Thankful For in the microphones so you guys can hear them. She doesn't know mine. I don't know hers.
Okay, funny little story here. So Tony shoots me a message earlier in the week. I think I was out doing something, and he, gets this, hey, I've got this podcast idea. Let's do what I'm thankful for, which is really funny because I think the day before I'd had the same thought. I just hadn't shared it with him. So I'm thinking, okay, great. We're like, we're
jiving.
We're jiving. The ESP thing. It's not that we have ESP. We're just on the same wavelength. And then we're getting ready to get behind the mics today. And he's like, okay, so I think we should have them written down. Right. And it makes this big deal about how we're going to ask all of you to write them down. And so I sit down and I write down my things that I'm going to be sharing with you here in a couple minutes. And I'm like, okay, great, honey, I'm done. He goes, okay, well, let me sit down and do mine. So just off the top, I'm thankful that my husband knows how to motivate me.
That's right.
Because sometimes And I have to look at this and smile. And it's ironic that I just wrote a journal entry earlier today on having an attitude of gratitude and counting my blessings on a daily basis, because that's the kind of thing that could have really gotten under my skin. And instead you just look at it and say, you know what? Thankfully, he knows how to get me to do something.
There you go. Yes. You know what?
Like it was talking into the microphone.
Right. It was always my intention to have these written down. I didn't convey that message to Elisa beforehand. So
Thank you.
That was the big miscommunication on my part. Saying that, here's the thing, folks. And I got to hold on. I got to back up because I want you guys to read what we posted last week. If you haven't caught it, we're trying to put up a podcast every Tuesday, and then Thursday or Friday put up an actual article on the site just so you guys can read, because I know some of you guys want to read as well. But I did one last week called How to Jumpstart Your Sex Drive with Libido Boosting Vitamins and Minerals. And the reason I put this up here is that as I'm getting older, and I notice that there are just times during the week when I have a higher stress level, less sleep, that I can tell that my libido, my sex drive decreases. I can tell that. And I know it because Elisa and I still adhere to our intimacy lifestyle. And there are those times and those evenings when it's taken me a bit longer than it used to get aroused. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing a little research and understanding, okay, what is my body missing so that I can be aroused and I can have that sex drive that I used to have from natural products. So check it out. It's called How to Jumpstart Your Sex Drive with Libido Boosting Vitamins and Minerals. I'll also put a link in the show notes here for you. But I've been using this. For me as a guy, I've been going for a more of a supplement, an all-around supplement, but I'm also using the natural food, raw foods, veggies, fruits, meats, poultry, fish, and making sure I'm getting those in my daily nutritional diet. So just something for you guys to look at. I just think it's a great article and something you can utilize in your own marriage and to get that sex drive going again. All right. Thankful fours. Make sure you write them down. Do as many as you want. No, we wrote them down. Hey, you can write them down 10 minutes before you got to talk about them.
I would just say, don't rely on the ESP thing. If you want your spouse to write them down, ask them to do so.
Exactly. So we're going to do it for you guys because this is something we love to do together. And why not do it for you guys as well? And so that way you can interact, you can listen, you can learn. Maybe you think of things off of what we're saying that you want to share with your spouse, or it may give you a whole nother idea or thought process and you're mind mapping a whole nother idea or deal. We're going to do 5 each just for the sake of time here. And yet we could do 10. We could do 20. You guys come to that decision and decide, hey, we're going to go back and forth and we're going to just do this and find a time when you guys aren't like trying to just shuffle along and get it done. And you're hurried up and you just want to get it done. This isn't the time to do this. The time to be doing this is when you guys really have some time where you guys are mellow. Maybe grab a cup of tea, grab a cup of coffee, sit down for 15, 20 minutes. Maybe in the morning when you first wake up, it's quiet in your house. It might be in the middle of the day, when the kids aren't around, or maybe just in the evening. So whenever works for you guys, figure it out, but make it happen.
And this is something you can actually start to incorporate with your family. I mean, I love that this is something that we do, but just as an aside, it's been really interesting because we do pray before our meals and we encourage the kids to pray. Mm-hmm. And our son has really started to take on this gratitude. Mm-hmm. And, it used to be like, he was thankful that, prayer was only 30 seconds so he could get on to his meal. I mean, that was about the extent of his prayers. But now it's like he is really coming up with things that matter to him. Mm-hmm. And that's what this is all about. What matters to you in your marriage? What are those things that when you, good or bad, when you look across the table at the person that you've said I do to, what are you thankful for? So let's get started. You go first. This
You
was your
want me-
idea.
you
Yeah, I
want
want
me
you.
to?
I want you to go. Give me one, and then I'll bounce
All right.
off of you.
So I'm thankful for going an entire year reading Jesus Calling together.
Ooh, this is a big one. Jesus Calling is a devotional, and for those of you that are new listeners, our track record with being able to stick with devotionals is not the greatest. I think prior to this, in our 16 years of marriage, there's only been one other devotional. It was the Nightlight by the Dobsons that we got through. We've tried lots and lots of devotionals, but probably about this time, like right after
year.
Christmas, one of Tony's clients gave him Jesus Calling, and we made a decision that we were going to do it this year. And we've missed days.
Oh, yeah.
We've missed days in a row this year, but we have continued to go back to this devotional.
What I really have enjoyed about doing this with you is that even though some nights it is, I mean, we're really getting to the end of it, and I'm tired and you're tired, and say we've missed 2 nights, we just know it's like, you know what? We need to just read this. And I'll tell you, there are some nights where I don't get anything that's being said at all, because I'm trying to figure out what's happening and where the Lord's leading me, and it's just not, the message just isn't sticking with me at that moment and at that time. What I have found, though, is over the year doing it with you, even though there are nights like that, there are nights where it's like, oh my gosh, that is something that I've been praying about, been thinking about, be it with my personal life, with our marriage, with our kids, with the business or businesses, with friends, with our church. And it strikes me, and I just go, you know what? I needed to hear that tonight. And you were reading it, and it was just like an angel speaking.
Wow. That's a pretty good one. Can you save that for those nights when you think I'm talking too much, and just remember that sometimes you think I sound like an angel speaking?
Well, there are nights when I am trying to have sex and you are talking too much, but that's not what I'm thankful for.
Okay. I'm just, my first one is that we have weathered many storms and have celebrated our 16 years of marriage together.
Yeah. And this 16th was spent at a business conference even.
Yeah, which has been really good, and that did not diminish the fact that we were celebrating our anniversary at all. But, marriage is not a fairy tale. Right. And, some of you are engaged listening to us. Some of you are newlyweds. And I'm not trying to burst anybody's bubble, but marriage is work. And there are lots of storms that will come your way simply because you are human beings on this planet. You will have loss, you will have pain, you will have disappointment. And what you do in those times, the decisions that you make and the commitments that you honor, tell volumes about who you are and the type of person that you are. And, it's one of those things where, I've talked about Tony's integrity many, many times. But there are lots of times in our marriage where I can look back and say, wow, we could have gone either way. We could have. We could be raising our children from separate homes right now because we were at a crossroads. And the fact that he made a decision to stick with me in those dark hours and vice versa, that is truly one of those blessings in my life that words really can't describe.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And even this year, even this week, we've weathered some just minor storms, just dealing with attitude with the kids, and even us just trying to look at life and go, okay, it's not always revolving around the business, which can frustrate us when we're trying to do something and they're bouncing off the walls. But it is. We do weather a lot of them, and I think one thing I'm grateful for in that is that we've learned to just go, okay, it's not a big deal. We just got to move on. It's not a personal attack. It's a moment. We're going to come back to this, and we're going to clear the air and make sure we understand where we're at, but we're never sitting here and just going off and just really arguing or anything. So I do dig that. I don't mind. I'm thankful for keeping the intimacy lifestyle going.
Wow. Yeah. How many years has it been now? 3?
3. We're going on year 4. So I'm just thankful that we continue to get it going. We've had some rough times here in the last month or so, especially with us getting towards the end of our time period and missing it. You know,
he's being very generous. That's an Elisa problem. That's not a we problem. That's Elisa going too long and almost missing.
Yeah. But you know what? Again, we work through it. We've talked about, you know, the problem that causes, and we continue to discuss it and not give up on the importance that the intimacy lifestyle has in our marriage.
So for our listeners that are brand new, you want to tell what the intimacy lifestyle is? Because there may actually be people listening that don't know.
Yeah, go to episode 140 called Scheduling Sex, and you'll learn all about it.
Give them a snapshot, dude.
Elisa and I have sex twice a week for 3 days, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. One of those days I have to initiate on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Elisa has the option to initiate on one of those days. So we have sex 2 times a week. We take Saturdays off. But really, go listen to episode 140, Scheduling Sex. We go in depth, in detail. We share the whole thing, and it's one you got to listen to because we've heard from many of you who've wanted to implement the intimacy lifestyle or have in some way, and it has really helped you clarify what you're doing and allowing you to really put that into action in your marriage.
Okay. Well, I thought it was important that you at least tell them.
Okay. Well,
especially our new listeners, because
yes.
we know every week. Listeners every week.
I know. I get it.
So my number 2, that we are raising not only 2 incredible children, but also our dreams of one extraordinary marriage as well.
Yeah, I like that one. Kids sometimes pain in the butt, but I agree with you. They're
incredible.
They are incredible.
If you guys hear us grumble about them, any of you that are parents, if you've had your children for more than... Oh, Tony's got a cold, guys.
Here's why I grumble, folks. Here's why I grumble.
Remember, this is a thankful episode.
This is a thankful episode. No, because I am thankful for this. The reason I grumble is because too often everybody says everything is fine. And nobody really wants to tell you the truth, the honest to goodness truth, which is what is happening in their house. And I will tell you, there are times in this family when all heck is breaking loose. And it is sometimes hard to even stay focused on my marriage because of the screaming, the crying, the attitude, the sassiness, everything that comes out. But I'm thankful for those kids because they help me grow.